Welcome to R&R Showtime with Robert,
And Ryan.
and today we'll be discussing the Book of Boba Fett mid-season review.
Yeah, first three of the supposed 7 episodes that we're getting for this season of the show.
Yeah, so let's just jump right into it. Ryan, what if you had to give a letter grade right now? What would it be
To the show as a whole,
for these 3 episodes so far?
I feel like each episode would have gotten a different letter grade. I feel like the first episode would have gotten like a B or B minus. The second episode would have gotten like an A, and then the third would have gotten probably A minus.
Okay. I mean, honestly, this show is really giving me like B or B minus vibes overall, which, is like kind of disappointing to say, but it's just like, like I had some decent expectations. Like this is sort of the brother show to the Mandalorian, right?
In a way, yeah.
And it's also the exploration of the character Boba Fett. I think, tons of people are excited about that. But in some ways, I'm just like, some of the things they're doing with it are, I don't know. Okay, here's this idea in my head I had, right? This may or may not be true for other people, but I think it is a little bit true for me, is that I was watching on Disney Plus, they had this like, something about Boba Fett, basically like the history of him. And they made this comment in it that it was, that he's only got like a very limited amount of screen time and only like 6 lines or something like that. And that one of the things, but so many people have latched onto him and thought he was so amazing. And one of the things about that is, potentially the mystery, right? They didn't know who he was, and something about that let him be larger than what we saw. And this show, in some ways, is unraveling some of that mystery. And some of the things I'm seeing are not like making me like him more. If anything, like, yeah, some of the things are making me be kind of more like, like he's less cool than I thought, basically. Like, okay, surviving the Sarlacc pit, right? Of course, that's a huge feat. People don't usually do that and whatever. But I'm just finding in the show, I'm wondering why he's even doing all this stuff. And like, why is he trying to be the crime lord? Like,
the daimyo?
Yeah, the daimyo. I don't really understand the motivation of that, other than just do it. Like, I'll just be the leader of all these people, and I'm going to do it a different way. I'm going to do it through respect, not fear.
I mean, well, like, he in the Star Wars universe, you still have to, like, maintain some sort of job that you're doing, and maybe he's sick of bounty hunting, and maybe he just wants to sit down and settle down in a place. And as we're seeing in the flashbacks, Tatooine is a place that he has some histories, more recent histories with, and maybe he wants to, and maybe his times with the Mandalorian as well has made him, and with the Tuscans, has just made him want to be a little better.
You might think that,
because this show, it's interesting that they treat this show as the Book of Boba Fett, as if we're finally getting this insight into who Boba Fett is. We're not. We're getting an insight into Boba Fett is after the Sarlacc pit.
Yeah.
Whoever he was prior is still kind of a big mystery. We saw him as a child in the animated series, and then he's an adult in the original trilogy.
Yeah.
And now we're getting him after crawling out of a Sarlacc pit and being taken in by the Tusken Raiders and losing his armor.
Yeah. And so, well, and what I would think here, right, is that maybe, to my point before, they're trying to keep some of the mystery that makes him so significant by not giving us too much, right? We did see him as the, I don't know, like teenager or, like young Boba, having already formed his little bounty hunter group in the animated series. And so we see a little bit of him there. And then we kind of jump forward to him being full Boba Fett and everything that happens in the original trilogy. And maybe that's good in the sense of what I was referring to, not revealing too much. But in my head, I always thought Boba Fett was like just a total badass, like no fucks given, like he's the best bounty hunter in the world because he'll just take any job and take anybody down and be capable of like winning over anybody, right? And what I feel like they are trying to lead us to believe is that he might be a badass bounty hunter, but he's got like a good heart, right? They're trying to make him a likable character somewhat. And because we see that he tries to help the other prisoner, which ends up getting him in trouble.
You saying that is kind of the red flag. And that's probably why I thought the first episode was, I mean, there's a lot of reasons why the first episode is like hands down the worst episode thus far. It was boring. Not a lot happened. At that point, I didn't know why they were splitting it into two timelines. Which can we talk about the two timelines? I mean, let's finish up with the characters, but I want to talk about the timelines. His characterization, you're right. It is not what you would think Boba Fett is based on everything we know of who Boba Fett is at that point. Like when he's locked up in the prison, maybe his thought to free the other guy is more like to have an extra person on his side, like in the escape, because making yourself survive alone in the desert. Yeah, he's a bounty hunter, but maybe he's not stupid. Maybe he thinks, oh, I can use this dude to help me. Yeah. That's the only thing I could give. But you're right. I thought it was weird, a little weird that he was being, and also, I mean, the dude could also see him. So like either get him on his side or get snitched out, and the dude snitched him out anyways.
Yeah, but he could have already had like a headway to make it out, and then gets taken down by a Tusken Raider that just knows how to use a stat. Again, I also can understand that maybe he relied on his equipment somewhat. Like, hey, having all that equipment made him so great. It's not that he's totally capable. His capability plus equipment makes him best bounty hunter. So not having the equipment does severely limit him. But then we further see that when he goes out with the child, a literal Tusken kid, and they're like, okay, go farm, like, I don't know, like dig up these watermelons.
Moisture farming.
Yeah. That's like a moment where I guess maybe he's like, oh, I won't hurt a kid or something. We're just seeing more characterization where it's Boba Fett's kind of a good guy. He's got a heart of gold. Like, he wants to help out that person, and he won't hurt this kid, and he saves the kid even when he and I don't know that it's necessarily totally a bad thing, but it is recasting my image of him as a total badass that, no fucks given. And somebody might want to say like, oh, well, he came out of the Sarlacc pit and he's changed his ways or something. Like, I don't understand why climbing out of the Sarlacc pit would change his ways. Why would you decide to just like be a good guy now or something? Even in the animated series, right? Everything that his dad probably taught him, Jango Fett, was, be a badass bounty hunter. This is how you excel and no mercy and all that. In the animated series, he seemed like a total badass then too. And we want to assume that he was just like, yeah, no problem. Work for the Empire, hunt this guy down. That he was a total badass the whole time. I don't have any, reason to believe that he was like let me help out the kid.
I think without the armor, it could. I think the lack of the armor probably has cut him down to size. But you're right. There was nothing to really indicate that he was an empathetic person in any way.
Yeah.
The only thing I could think of in him saving the child is, again, maybe he's thinking more like tactically, like I could kill this kid and leave off in the desert. I have no idea where I am. At this point, he's not that familiar with Tatooine as far as we know. He's been there probably as a bounty hunter. He's probably been there to the main cities with Jabba, but he probably would have gotten lost in the dunes had he not kept the child alive to take him back. And the fact that he saved the child, maybe he figured he could parlay that into something. There are ways that I can get my mind around him not doing this stuff in a purely moral sense. The stuff where he's daimyo, if he's trying to be moral or good, that is sort of coded into all the stuff prior leading him to the change. All the past stuff needs to have a reason for it. And I think there is, to some extent, a reason why he at one point he tried to escape. Yes, but that's because he was like tied up to a fucking pole. And he had no parlay with the Tuskens at that point. Once he has saved the kid, he probably rightfully recognized that he could get some pull if he went back willingly, having saved the child.
I feel that that's a totally valid way to look at it, but I don't think that that's the way of portraying it. I think because if they were portraying it like that, I feel like they might have just given us some kind of scene where he's like, like I don't know, maybe to show him being more tactile, but it doesn't seem like that, right? Because there's more opportunities for him. He's like curries favor there, right?
Yeah,
and then he has the opportunity later where he also curries favor, but I don't know what. Like once he's able to leave later and he takes care of that motocross problem, he could just leave. He could be like, "Hey, here's 4 bikes, and these will help you out, or you can just deconstruct them, and I'm gonna head out of here."
Yeah,
something like that. Like it's not necessarily to his great benefit to help the Tuscans. That's an empathetic action. Like he's going out of his way. At this point, he could leave.
Maybe next point over.
Mm-hmm.
We see in that first episode, I believe, if not in the second episode, that he's starting to get trained by them. And there is a consistent thing we're seeing where the Tuscans are kicking his fucking ass in one-on-one combat. And so he's basically being put down to size. Like without his fancy armor, he's probably gotten lazy. The armor's probably made him like get used to that in his bounty hunting lifestyle. Being able to just use cool Mandalorian tech and like stuff to make things easier for him. Now he's just a guy, and maybe he's seeing opportunities. I don't. The first episode, I will say, I didn't really buy into why he was doing things. These are things that I'm sort of playing out as possibilities, motives, why he would stay with them. I was also thinking for a while, why is he still with these Raiders? But you could also consider he's kind of got nothing outside of this. Where is he going to? Maybe he's being tactical.
I mean, so I appreciate your, offering the opposite sort of view here. Like I want to hear this, I want to hear more about that. Like my initial thoughts, I'd like to see them countered somewhat. To even just counter what you said. What does he have outside this? I'm like, well, he's the best bounty hunter in the galaxy.
He doesn't have his armor.
That's fine, but doesn't he have? I'm sure he has curried favor and or credits or something. Like, is he literally have $0 and 0 connections outside this planet? If he can get back to a starship, like can
Jabba, he not? I don't know. Did he see Jabba get killed before he went into the Sarlacc pit?
I mean, I'm not sure if he saw him get killed or well, he saw that he climbed out and saw that the entire thing was crashed. I think, right? Like. No, because I think they dragged him away or woke him up at some point.
Yeah, so we don't know if he has any reasonable expectation that there is a place on Tatooine that he can go back to where he's not considered a bounty hunter, or where he's not. I imagine in my head. Yeah, I
imagine my head. Right, best bounty hunter in the galaxy. Surely has to have connections. You don't be the best bounty hunter in the galaxy by just simply running around every planet to find people. Like there has to be a network of informants or more to that, right? So he should have some sort of network and probably like money stashed away. Like,
what if no one's ever seen his face?
Because so he doesn't need to tell them I'm Boba Fett until it serves his purpose. Like you can be intelligent and be like, contact some person, be like, hey, I need transfer me some credits here. I need to get away off this Starflater or whatever. Like, there can be reasons why. But that's what I imagine Best Bounty on their galaxy does after he is able to, reasonably escape from wherever he's at. That's just another, like, why didn't he just do that then? Because now he's an empathetic guy, though. Now he's like, oh, I'll help these people out. And even if it serves him somewhat, like, I think it serves him better if I'm the best bounty hunter ever, it serves him better to go wire in some credits or something, get some help, maybe grab some other bounty hunters and go track down his armor.
Yeah, but
maybe in a sense, now we could even look at it like
you saying getting like other bounty hunters. I think maybe he's a guy that worked alone, at least at the point prior to the Sarlacc pit.
Yeah. Now I could see
and maybe a lot of other bounty hunters are happy to see Boba Fett get kicked down a notch because he was taking all the business.
Surely, but like, is every bounty hunter willing to see him get kicked down? Or are there some that still would work with them and be like, wow, hey, you saved me that one time we worked together, maybe, or what? I mean, we know for a fact that Boba used to have a team. Like in the animated series, it confirms he had a team of people he worked with.
But as a kid.
Yeah, as a kid, I mean, does that mean that he's opposed to? That does not lead me to believe he would be opposed to working in a team later in his life.
Well, now he's working with a the Tuscans.
Yeah. So nonetheless, that's why I'm like that is a thing I could put forth as like, why didn't this happen? Unless we are suggested, oh, Boba was actually an empathetic guy and he just decided to stay with these Tuscans because reasons. A theme I was trying to mention was maybe him shedding his armor is him shedding that sort of persona, and kind of as you mentioned, by not having the mask, the armor, he's more humble or something.
Yeah, he's been given an ego check.
Yeah, that's totally understandable, but I don't know. Maybe it's, and again, probably just personal. Maybe I just don't like it. Maybe I kind of want to see Boba being more badass.
Yeah, maybe when you get the book of Boba Fett, you want to learn about Boba Fett, that character in Star Wars. Maybe, but even then, do you think this would be better if we got the a Star Wars story, the Solo, like filling in the backstory of Han Solo, where we get filling in the backstory of Boba Fett more in that? Do you think that would make this a more interesting show? Or would it just be another bounty hunter show, but with a guy who has maybe even less redeeming qualities than the Mandalorian?
Yeah, I guess you make a fair
and
point
less
there.
Character.
I mean, I guess redeeming quality, right? Maybe that's the point, is that people liked Boba being badass, best bounty hunter in the galaxy. I don't need him to have redeeming qualities.
But we've already seen him. We already see that he's been redeemed by the time he's in Mandalorian.
I mean, essentially, he was working. I mean, to a degree, he was working in a self-serving manner up to a point, and then it was like, "Help me out," kind of thing. But like that, while there was a little bit of redemption there, it wasn't. At the end of that, it was like, all right, I'm still badass Boba Fett, and I didn't really do anything that was so far out of my willingness to do. Him helping him out kind of was mutual, and then he goes back and he's like, all right, I'm a badass, I'm taking over Jabba's territory, and then we get a bunch of sort of like, I don't know, just like decisions that continue to be like, you're not really quite that badass. Like you just don't feel super badass to me.
I think it's okay. So let's.
I'm sorry. I keep harping on this. I have some other points I want to.
Yeah, we talked a lot. We talked a lot about Boba Fett as a character. Let's do. All right. First of all, what do you think of the two timelines going back and forth? I like it in theory, but I feel like it has a tendency to like take over the episode with one story. Like in the second episode, which was my favorite episode thus far, it was like a little bit of present in the beginning, and then it's Dune meets Dances with Wolves. Dances with Wolves.
Yeah, I totally understand that. And I would say so flashbacks, right? I think,
but to be honest, I loved it. I loved the whole everything he was doing with the Tuscans, the fighting the train. It was very much like to the fact that they were smuggling spice on the train. Mm-hmm. They were being as like, this is Dune. Star Wars is inspired by Dune.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think if you watch the Clone Wars, really, and the Rebels and things, there's a lot of dealing with the Pikes and how they deal spice, right? And that's a drug.
Yeah, but spice comes from Dune.
yeah, of course. But so I mean, I like that they were setting up the Pike thing later with all that. But here's the thing: is flashbacks, right? Especially when you punctuate them in like you keep like, all right, here's some present and then here's a flashback, should serve what's going on in the present. Usually. Yeah. Not just be, well, we'll just stop doing the present real quick and show you some background. Like it doesn't have a point. Like you might as well have just taken these flashbacks and made them the first episode.
There are many examples of shows that utilize flashbacks well. The show that always comes to mind for me is Once Upon a Time, where I think it's used very effectively. Mm-hmm. In each episode, the flashbacks detail the specific character that we're getting fleshed out this episode, and particularly in the first season of the show. And they're interspersed throughout the episode, so you're getting present, but you're also getting past. Mm-hmm. But the present is the story that's being driven. Yeah, and the problem with the show is that a lot of the story feels more interesting in the past.
Almost, yeah.
We kind of want to know, but we also already know what happens in a way. it's weird. I think until the third episode, I also didn't really the daimyo plot. It was kind of just not that interesting.
Yeah, and this is something I had commented on when I watched Kingsman, right? Which no spoilers here, but my general feeling about Kingsman was it was a lot of I felt like the writers sat down and were like, oh, here's a cool scene. All right, here's another cool scene. Here's a cool character concept. They sat down and made a bunch of really cool things to put in the movie, and then they just added a plot line to fit all those together, which makes the story overall weak, but full of cool moments and stuff. And Boba Fett's feeling a little bit like that in the present. It's feeling like a bunch of cool moments that they were like, it'd be really cool if this happened. It'd be cool if there was a car chase. It'd be cool if, like he was attacked by a bounty hunter and stuff and had to fight him off. It'd be cool if blah, blah, blah. And then they were like, all right, well, let's like just kind of loosely put all that together. What was a good story is here's how Boba Fett got out of the Sarlacc pit and then, bonded with a bunch of Tusken Raiders who taught them their ways and he became better for it and blah, 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 blah. Like that's a real story that's interesting and makes sense.
And then in the next episode, after the cool stuff with the Tuskens, how they managed to like take down a train, he leaves for like an hour and they've all been killed.
Yeah, and that's dramatic. That's interesting. Like that's a real story.
But also, I'm left wondering, like, wow, like I thought they were like really cool fighters and had a bunch of stuff to their means. Like, how did they just get wiped out? Yeah. We don't see any of the other people. We don't see bodies of the bad guys here.
Yeah. Again, it's that also even just adds to the point. It's like, but like the Tusken Raiders are only apparently good if they can swing the staff around, but not. I mean, like honestly, we see it like portrayed.
Yeah, they had weapons. They stole weapons off the train.
Yeah, they had literally guns and stuff. It's like, and they have rifles normally. Like,
yeah,
it all doesn't. Yeah, it's whatever. That scene pretty much portrays them like, okay, apparently Tusken Raiders are not that tough, and you just learn to fight from a bunch of guys that get pretty easily taken down. So.
I just think that was a very poorly come up with way of maybe I need to lower some of my letter rankings because I've been enjoying the show, but like in thinking about it,
there's a part of me that enjoys the show too, but then I just keep kind of being like, what is the purpose of like why Jabba the Hutt, they're like they give him a Rancor and they give him the bounty hunter that tried to attack him. They're like, oh yeah, just take all this stuff and we're leaving, I'm like, here's your tribute. There's a bunch of tribute to you, and here's a prize.
It's like episode 3 was like dedicated to like that stuff that happened in episode 2. Forget about it. The two new Hutts, the twins, they're leaving.
Yeah. What was the purpose? Oh, the
Wookiee guy. Oh yeah,
just have cool moments happen. They're like, oh, he met those Hutts tried to kill him, and then they sent him like we meet the Hutts, and they're like, watch yourself, bounty hunter. And then
episode 2, we have a Sarlacc pit, but no Sarlacc. Don't worry, we'll put a Sarlacc in there next episode. It's like, episode.
Yeah, again, God, it's like I said about Kingsman. It's a bunch of cool moments, lightly sort of connected together in a way that makes sense, quotation marks, but isn't like a really good like plot. and I don't feel like they're. In the beginning, it just seems like there's no motivation for Boba Fett to be doing what he's doing. He goes back and he's like, all right, I want to assume power. And then he's like, all right, guys, come pay me tribute. Like, and I like how they are trying to insinuate. It's like, well, you can't just like show up here and, say I'm in charge, but then like not be doing anything about it. But then it feels like the story's moving Boba Fett in a lot of ways. It doesn't feel like Boba Fett is taking charge. He's not like, all right, I'm going to go down there. And it's like the mayor doesn't, respond to your tribute. So Boba Fett's like, well, I guess I have to go down there and do this thing now. The Hutts say that they're, or some Hutts are showing up and say, oh, we're going to take over. So he has to respond to that then.
So he's reacting, not acting.
He's reacting. Yeah. He is not the main characters should drive the story. It should be there's issues and they are like, we need to go do this. I need to go do this. It's not like things happen to them.
Conflict drives a narrative. And so if the conflict is externally driven, not internally driven, that's where we're getting it. But it is better if he has an internal reason why he's doing the things he's doing, rather than like, why is he being the daimyo? Why? I mean, I can more better rationalize why he was like working with the Tuskens, especially like as he like bonded with them and had like the full Dances with Wolves, Pocahontas type plot line of him just like
here's a suggestion of what might fix some of the things that we kind of commented on, right? Is if, as we're watching the Tusken stuff going on, we see in some way he reveals or says or whatever that his motivation is that the Tuskens, helped him. Okay, B1, maybe the Tuskens treat him harshly, but they help him, right? Like they don't just tie him up, but then like they do something, they teach him this or that. Like they do kind of. Again,
Yeah.
we're getting the point. Like they taught him how to find water in the desert. Then they teach him how to fight, but that's only after he does something for them. But we get that he kind of owes something to the Tuskens. Or
we see that they basically clearly accept him as one of their own, like give him like the garb and like their special weapon, put him through the whole ceremony. Like he was adopted as one of theirs.
Yeah.
And then they were promptly all killed off. And so he had a reason to want to get retribution. And we'll see how he does that, if he does that.
Yeah. So, but I would like to see maybe, and we get this revealed in the next couple episodes. Very possible, right? But like so far, they haven't done a good job of making this a connection. But maybe his reason for becoming the daimyo is to assert control over the deserts and make it safer for the Tuskens and the people that are, that we're supposed to, the people that he owes himself to. And maybe he's going to collect all the Tuskens. Maybe this happens later anyways.
But we haven't even seen him comment on the Tuskens in the present time.
Yeah, exactly. My point is that like he has no reference to them at all in the past. He's like, all right, cool. I'm glad we're showing all these things in the past.
However, the end of the third episode does give us the convergence between the two timelines, because we get him interacting with the Pikes in the past. Right. And the Pikes have shown up in the present. So here is our convergence that can lead to some sort of intrigue or coming together of the plots going forward. And so I find that promising.
Potentially, okay. But here's the thing, though. The Pikes already present a conflict in the present. Like, he needs to go through them anyways. It's not as if, like, I guess
maybe
the past is serving to give him more motivation to deal with the Pikes.
Well, the Pikes, at this point, the Pikes didn't, I mean, the train did something bad, but like at this point, he kind of got his one up on the Pikes.
Right.
In a lot of ways. Maybe something in his past will reveal some information that makes him uniquely qualified to deal with the Pike situation.
So maybe that's possible. Again, I mean, you're understanding kind of where I'm coming from with my doubts on the show and how things aren't like seeming the way I'd like. And it may just all be my opinion. I could be wrong here. This isn't necessarily an objective, like this is bad, but this is what I'm seeing and what I'm feeling. And like, there's still cool things going on here that I'm interested to see, but I am in some ways I'm not like the cool things that happen don't make me be like, wow, Boba Fett's so cool. It's more like Boba Fett's not quite as cool as I thought. You'd think that like he would have measures to the fact that this massive, what are they called? Kashyyykin? That's their planet, right? What are why can't I remember what Chewbacca's race is?
Oh,
Wookiees. They're Wookiees.
Or Wookiee, yeah.
And they're from Kashyyyk, right? Yeah, whatever. Wookiees, yeah. This huge Wookiee who's clearly not like a sneaky bounty hunter.
We hear it say bones cracking and then he gets up.
Yeah.
Like the subtitles that I read said cracking bones.
Yeah, and we know that like Wookiees can tear your arm sockets out like easily, apparently. That's a statement like that's like as old as the first movie, that Wookiees will just tear your arms off. And this one's like he looks like he's even larger than Chewbacca. Like he's a big badass. And we are led to believe that one, he just snuck into the palace. Like, is there a fucking back door? Like, he just waltzed in there and pulled him out of his back to tank. There's nothing. He doesn't have a guard standing next to his back to tank. It's a little like, I guess this just had to happen, right? This bounty hunter just has to pull you out right now. Like this, again, cool moment, but like, why?
I mean, I don't have an issue with that in particular. Because, I mean, if our heroes in the Star Wars movies, like Chewbacca, if Chewbacca is able to sneak into places easily, then why can't this other big Wookiee be able to sneak into places?
Yeah, I don't know. It's, and maybe this is even a point in sometimes, well, okay, in the places that Chewbacca's sneaking into in the movies, in the first movie, he is posing as a prisoner of people and being like let in and stuff. And later, I don't see him being super sneaky. He's just like avoiding. again, yeah, my point being like, I don't understand why that moment happened. It doesn't make a ton of sense other than make it happen because this is a cool moment to watch him fight with no armor on again. And use his things with the staff. Like, oh my god, like we see his which was like, okay, hey, cool. I saw that he learn how to use a staff. So without his armor,
he failed with it.
Yeah.
Maybe because it's a Wookiee that he's fighting, but
again, yeah, perhaps. And then it's like, oh, cool. His little gang of people came in and helped him out. We got to see them use their little chains and their little enhancements and stuff or whatever. Another moment, in this third episode that made me be like, what? Like, why did you do that? So
what's that movie? It came out like 2 years ago based on the anime. Where like all the people have like cybernetic replacements.
Based on the anime?
It's like the rollerball. They have like the rollerball rink.
It's an anime with a.
It was a movie based on an anime. The main character is this girl robot with like the weird eyes.
I totally can't remember what you're talking about right now.
All right, I'm
look it up while I describe what my moment. Okay, so first episode, I believe. He goes down, he has to go see the mayor, right? Goes in there and is like, hey, we're here to see the mayor. And they're like, oh, do you have an appointment? He's like, no. And they're like, okay, well, we can't fit you in yet. And so he just straight up walks past the guy and goes into the back and is like, hey, mayor. And the mayor's doing nothing. Like, the mayor's literally just sitting there. So he's not, and it was basically like, fuck you, we don't want to meet with you. And third episode goes back to the mayor after finding out, like, I think that the mayor assassinated him or something, or he was the one that sent the assassins. Right? Goes down there, walks in. We're here to see the mayor. Stops again, right? We're like, let me get the daimyo. Or do you have an appointment? Again, like the same fucking thing happens, okay?
Yeah.
The guy, the dude comes out and is like, oh, give me just a moment. I'll be right. Like, again, they stop him. He stops. And then he walks back there and then they lock and then they're like, oh, we'll just wait.
No, they see the door lock and they're just like,
yeah, but they're fine with waiting again.
Yeah, I thought that was weird as well.
I was like, why? And then they lock the door and you're like, oh my god, I'm so like, dude, you just found out that he tried to assassinate you. Like, I don't understand why you didn't just storm in there with your gun up and be like, what's your problem, yo? And like again, that's a badass. Just doesn't like. Why are you following the rules? Why are you waiting for them to get fucking permission right now? It's such a. Are you the badass daimyo that controls this shit or not? Like I get like he's like I get a point maybe that he's like I'm going to do it myself. I'm not Jabba the Hutt. I'm not sending people. Blah blah. But I'm like, then just do it yourself. Like, roll in there and do it.
Well, he said he wants to lead with respect, and so maybe he's trying to give some level of decorum and respect with the other figures of power. Like, he's not trying to just barge in every time. But
yeah, but you did that last time. He didn't show you the same respect, and then
no, the last time the mayor showed respect just falsely so and lied to him about his intentions and his dealings with the Pikes.
No. Last time the
first time they thought he was an assassin. The second time it's because the Hutts told him that the mayor was hiding something from him.
Right. So
and so he thinks the mayor is hiding something from him, but again, maybe he's trying to deal with a little bit of decorum and respect, knowing that he has trained guards with guns in there the last time he was there.
Yeah, okay, but he's also, Boba Fett bounty hunter, which we know he's wearing what's the armor is made of what? I can't remember. Something that deflects blaster bolts. We already know that. We watched Mando literally just tank blaster bolts like it's not a thing. Like, and so we know that his armor also deflects them, and all of his vital body parts are covered in that armor. So he can just walk in there, and even if they try to shoot him, he's also the best bounty hunter in the galaxy.
Yeah, but maybe he's trying to not just like go in guns blazing. He's trying to get answers. He's trying to he's going
to do it the less badass way,
the diplomatic way.
Yeah, I guess so. Like, cool. Everything when I think of Boba Fett, I definitely think of great diplomat and like speaker to people. Like, I'm just like, man, this isn't the way I envision you handling it. And by handling it that way, it's kind of just like whatever. I guess that's just how he does it. Like, but this is not the Boba Fett I'm expecting.
The movie I was thinking of was Alita: Battle Angel.
Ah, yes. All right.
And I think you could also argue like there's a little bit of Ghost in the Shell with the humans that are like replacing their body parts with robot parts.
Right. But yeah,
and then we get the cool chase scene, which was probably the least interesting chase scene I've seen in a while.
Oh, dude, it's kind of like, is this supposed to be cool? Do you think that we think it's cool to watch them like ride their multicolored hover bikes and stuff? And
I think the purpose of the episode was, one, to pad out time, but I think the bigger reason for this scene was just to be like, oh, Mos Espa's a big city. We've only seen little bits of it, but it's big. They're doing this car chase for like 15 minutes. Like, and it's weirdly slow, right? Like, it should be like a high speed car chase, but like they look like they're not going that fast.
Yeah. And another huge point that like kind of defeats the whole purpose of the car chase and stuff is that literally moments after he crashes and stops, Boba Fett lands in his jetpack.
Yeah.
And it's like,
that was also stupid.
Wait, so you're saying that Boba Fett was following them the whole time in his jetpack and could have easily caught this guy because he doesn't have to go around corners and streets? He literally could have just flew over the buildings in a diagonal path and caught him. What the like? Why did we even watch these guys do this?
It was a I dislike that scene.
Yeah, it's like honestly, I don't really care for the whole chasing them. Other than again, this is what it looks like to me. The writers were like, it'd be really cool if there was a chase scene and they all have multicolored motorbikes, and then we see them using their little cybernetic enhancements to try and catch them and stuff. That'd be really cool. Let's just make that a thing. And then they find a reason to make that scene a thing.
I like how one of the for most of the episode, we only ever really hear the girl one speak, and then at the end of the episode, we get the guy with the eye enhancement gets to speak because he's the one watching the Pikes.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, oh, sorry. And they make the offhanded thing. Mm-hmm. Oh, keep an eye on him. Oh, sorry. Oh, it's all right. I spent a lot of money on this eye. Mm-hmm. Ooh, we're gonna get more of Eye Guy.
Yeah. So
I love Eye Guy. That's why I'm watching the Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's the whole like little tossing this little funny funky thingy. Ha ha ha. It's like it's just kind of like that one. I'm not like too upset by that moment. It's whatever. But it's stuff like that. Why is Boba Fett not just jetpack and get the guy? No, because we need to watch a car chase scene.
Why did that guy not speak all episode until the end of the episode? Was more my criticism than the actual. Like this dude, like. They were not characters except kind of the main one that was talking for them. And now they're just like, oh, but this one's also a character. Maybe the other two will also be characters. Probably not, but maybe.
Yeah. So here's one scene that does work for me though, right? One thing I like where I'm like, this is the kind of thing I want to be seeing, right? We should see more like this, right? Moisture farmer broker goes to Boba Fett, says, hey, you're the daimyo, you handle things, right? Well, blah, 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 blah. I need you to handle this gang because they stole from me. He's like, all right, I'll go handle it. And not to say, he should be a daimyo. Maybe he should have people to do this for him. But he's like, all right, cool. I'll go handle it. He goes down, finds out that they stole it because he charges too much money. And he's like, all right, you guys are cool, tough, and whatever. And I respect that you need a job. You can come work for me. And then the moisture farmer broker, who just appears, right? That was such like I guess he's just here right now. He's hanging out near the gang watching Boba Fett do this because he literally runs from like offset. Like he just like comes out of
it looks like he was coming from like a building. So maybe they were outside his broker place.
Yeah, maybe. I guess they stole stuff and hung out right outside of where they stole it from. Like just because, fuck you can't do anything about it. I could see that, but it definitely feels literally like he just runs in from offset. Like when I saw that moment happen, he comes out and he's like, hey, they stole from me, blah, 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 blah. And so Boba Fett's like, I'm a badass. I'm going to settle right here. You guys don't work for me and you can take this much for your water and change your prices. Like that's a badass moment. That's exactly what I want to be seeing, right?
Yeah, I enjoyed that scene.
Yeah.
Can we that moisture farmer's coming back because like he's like a recognizable face.
Like they couldn't have that actor just do one scene, but like why isn't that how he deals with like the mayor or like the Hutts or anything? It's not like him walking up and being like, here's how it's gonna be. Shit, it's the mayor telling him this is how things are.
I want to bring back in Alita Battle Angel because as I was thinking about why this episode made me think of Alita, I was like, I remembered who directed Alita, and I remember who directed the first episode of Boba Fett. I was like, I wonder if he directed the third episode, and he did. Robert Rodriguez, the director of Alita Battle Angel, directed the first and third episode of Boba Fett, and so maybe that's why another reason why I thought of it, and another reason why the chase scene for when I say Robert Rodriguez, does that click in your mind?
Is he guy that works with Danny Trejo a lot?
Yes. So the Machete films.
Yes. Okay.
That's prior to that, the Spy Kids films.
Right. Yeah.
So if you think about that chase scene now and think of the director of Spy Kids and like Shark Boy and Lava Girl, does it make a little more sense?
I guess with that in mind, yeah, maybe it does. Like that's kind of a thing.
And
yeah.
I think maybe that's another reason why I think the first and third episodes are a little weaker. Like, because I'm sure Robert Rodriguez is a competent director in like when he gets to be a little more like gross out and like mature and bloody and stuff. But I don't think I've ever seen any of his movies that are just like Star Wars.
Yeah.
That feels like like Star Wars. Yeah.
So one thing is in a reference, right? And I had said this earlier is that this show's like the brother, the sister show to, I want to say sister because, you know, it's like shows about dudes, but whatever. But, you know, this is supposed to be like kind of a tandem show to The Mandalorian. And The Mandalorian is like the opposite of what I'm feeling here, right? Mandalorian is like nobody's claiming that he's the best bounty hunter around or anything, right? But he feels like a force. He feels like he goes places and does things and he has a mission. He's motivated. Like he has all these elements that make the Mandalorian so good and that I feel like are missing from Boba Fett. And Boba Fett's supposed to be like greater than the Mandalorian, to say. Like they both have the same equivalent armor. So, and like Boba even has more, I think he has more gadgets in his armor. Like the Mandalorian didn't even have the jetpack until like at the end of the first season, I think.
I think until he got the Bobas.
No, it wasn't until he got Boba's. I think he got it later in the first season. Like he got it for a separate reason or something like that. And
Maybe,
he had like, you know, his armor was kind of busted down and stuff. And he had like new armor made, but that was like first episode. Nonetheless, you know, we're not led to believe that Mando is better than Boba Fett. Like Boba Fett was the greatest bounty hunter in the galaxy. And he's been missing for, I don't know, like since the time of Return of the Jedi. Mandalorian's like some years ahead of that. But like, Boba didn't get less impressive. He like hung out with the Tusken Raiders for a while and learned some new martial style and then got his armor back. So he should be better and more of a driving force than the Mandalorian is. But I don't get that from this. Even if he's supposed to be the daimyo, he showed up and took the daimyo. Like he's not doing things that make me feel like that.
The difference between him and the Mandalorian is that from the very beginning, we have the Mando's like credo. We know what he lives by. He lives by the Mandalorian code of ethics, which gets challenged in the series, but we know from the beginning what he's doing, what he's basing his life on.
Mm-hmm.
He's basing it on a credo. We don't know why Boba Fett's doing anything. We don't know what motivates him other than power, influence,
question mark, like
money.
Is that what motivates him? Like,
yeah.
I guess it is.
Yeah, we don't know. We don't know what he wants, and it makes everything feel a little like why are we watching this? Why is he doing this? Why is he involved in this? Like he seemed, they seemed to be content being bounty hunters. Like, why did they just stop being bounty hunters? Maybe they want to clear out the crime, make Mos Espa a better place. But again, why do they want to do that? Tatooine is kind of like, you know, a shithole. Like you can just leave. They can leave. They have the means to leave.
Yeah, exactly. They don't need to even be there. Like they're too like I always forget her name. Ming-Na Wen's
Fennec Shan.
Fennec Shan, yeah. Even though she's cool, Fennec Shan is cool. Every presentation of her in all the shows is pretty cool.
Well, something I do want to mention is Ming-Na Wen, and I tried to look up the Boba Fett actor's name. I think it's Temuera Morrison.
Yes, that sounds right.
Yeah, the two. I think they're great in their roles. They're doing good jobs. Their combined ages of the two of them is almost 120 years old because Temuera is like 60 and Fennec and Ming-Na Wen's 59.
Yeah, which dude, they're ageless, bro. Yeah, like honestly, they are like dude, it always astounds me. I think we talked about this on another when we were doing the Bad Batch, where it was like Ming-Na Wen was Mulan. Yeah, like, and I'm just and I watched her on the show. I'm like, you could still be Mulan. Like, you could play her in a live action. Like, yeah. But I will also say, I think Fennec Shan's role is being kind of like, other than she got like a little chase scene thing, but like her role is being kind of like diminutized. Like, well,
yeah, she's just kind of there.
Yeah, exactly. She's like, what even is she's offering him some advice and she's telling him things, but like none of the advice she offers, he actually takes. He's like, you need to rule with power. You need to do it like they did. You need to do. Is she just supposed to be like this? I say things and you're like, no, that's the old way. I'm going to do it this way. Like,
Yeah, like what motivates her to just be Boba's lackey? Like why isn't Fett?
He saved her life, right? So she
Yeah,
also,
but like, come on.
it's like you were a bounty hunter. Like your guys' purpose before this was bounty hunting, and you found a purpose in that. Now, what is your purpose, Shand? To be his second in command and serve him? Like, does that fulfill your purpose? If he went on to just keep being bad, like we're a badass bounty hunter duo now, and we fuck shit up because she was a badass before that, and I was badass before this. Now we're even more badass. That would be like way cool. Here's an okay. Again, I'm not one to rewrite the whole thing, but what would have been cool. This is a suggestion. A cool alternative to what we're currently seeing, right? Is not see us start with him taking over that thing, but start with Boba going basically going and like retracing a bunch of like debts or stuff over time, right? We see him escape the Sarlacc pit, and we see these things happen, like how he kind of like how that goes, and we keep going back and forth from the past from the present to the past, and saying like, okay, in the present, he goes to this place and like meets up with these people in on Tatooine, and then goes to find the Sand People, and we're seeing flashbacks and stuff of him meeting the Sand People and all that stuff happening and whatnot, and through the flashbacks we see like it explained like how he got his armor taken and this, and we see him go back and like help them. The first 2 episodes are like all the flashbacks explaining him going back to those Sand People and like bringing them back something, and how like they helped him, but then like, he had to go off on his own journey and like wanted to go back and repay them, right? So there's a story that's being punctuated by the past by showing why the past was relevant to what we're seeing. And then the next steps are, but then this person, when I left the Tuscans, like didn't help me or did this or that or blah blah, and he goes back and repays them and goes and finds the guy that had his armor before, and rescues Fennec Shand. Like we see the past of what happened when he rescued Shand. Like he rescued her, and then they went and did what, and maybe we see that past coming back to him going back to do something in the present. And then we kind of skip forward to the point where he's like taking over. We see him taking over as daimyo and why he wants to do that. Like maybe that the Tusken Raiders were oppressed, and when he went to Mos Espa in the past, it was so hard, and like people made it harder for him, and he's like, I could do this all better. Like I'll come back and fix all this. And once he gets his armor and reassumes being, himself, he goes back to do that for a reason.
Yeah. So some of this is why I'm willing to give the show a pass still in a way, because maybe we're going to get a little more of the past filled in by the next 4 episodes. And another reason why I think I'm just responding more warmly to the show as a whole is maybe I have less of an idea in my mind of who Boba Fett needs to be or is, because I did not grow up thinking anything of Boba Fett as a character. My opinion of Boba Fett prior to him being in The Mandalorian is kind of an asshole and not that terribly interesting. Some people have always found him interesting because there is a mystique to him, but I don't think there's anything about him that makes him inherently interesting. And so this show, if anything, is making me attach more interest to him. And so I'm liking it for that reason, because for me, Boba Fett, the faceless bounty hunter who was like a little punk annoying kid was upset that his dad got killed, which I mean, valid, but there's nothing about Boba Fett that interests me going into this series, really. But the actor I like, and really, this is very selfish of me because of me having watched the Clone Wars. I want a clone to show up. I know they'd all be dead at this point because they like super age.
Well, but there are clones that went and had families. So
yeah, I want him.
Also, I don't know if they super age. I think they accelerate the growth process early on, and then they get them to children, and then they train them from children to adult, because they just need them to be capable of doing things.
But still, it's been 20 years since the end of the Clone Wars.
Yeah, so they're still going to be old. All of them are old. Like, we see in the 20 years, no, in Rebels, which is not even that much. Actually, wait, yeah. maybe you're right that they are super aged. Because in Rebels, which is not that much further in the future.
That's like 10, 15 years?
Yeah, and they're like Rex is literally like an old man.
Yeah.
So, yeah, actually, I guess maybe it does make sense that they do still super age.
But
I could be wrong about that.
But where's Omega?
No, we'll see.
Omega
is an unaltered clone. So
yeah, and should be the same age.
Yeah.
As what if it's just him in a wig? Like
oh my
Omega.
God. What if it's a sister or something? I don't know. Here's a random theory I came up with while we were talking. What would be kind of cool is if we see like Boba get this vague sort of tip and be like, hey, I know you've been looking for that for a while or blah, 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 blah. And we finally found a hint of him or something. And this could be like the very end of the episode. Like, he's, and then he's like, thanks, I appreciate it. And we see Boba like, hey, I have to leave, Fennec. Like, you're in charge until I come back. Like, I have to deal with this. I'm by myself. And he leaves by himself and goes to some faraway place, right? And goes to like some kind of obscure planet, or maybe it's like a farm or something like that. And he goes there and he like approaches some hut or something. And he says, like, he shouts, he's like, hey, you come out to there. Like, and then like somebody steps out and he's like, I've been looking for you for a long time, blah, blah, blah. And then it's like revealed it's Mace Windu, played by Samuel L. Jackson.
Oh, damn. That would be.
And he's got like all crazy, like his face is all fucked up from like the electricity or whatever. And he's missing, I think he had his arm chopped off, right? I think he had his arm chopped off from the lightsaber was cut off by Anakin. And he walks out with like, one hand missing and like all fucked up from the Force lightning. And he's like, and he says nothing. Like, it just shows his face, and that's the end. And it's like, boom, Book of Boba Fett 2. It's him like facing out with Mace Windu or something like, and maybe he forgives him too. Maybe he tries to fight him, or he's like, I'm not here to kill you, but you owe me. You killed my father for so many years. And he was like, I don't know, something like that. That'd be a really awesome like end of the series, just like random cool thing that if they want to drop a straight like boom, like a bomb on everybody, that'd be amazing.
There's a lot of.
They would have to age up Samuel L. Jackson because he is also ageless and literally is like 50 or 60 years old himself and still looks like he was in.
But he was also Mace Windu 20 years ago.
Yes. Yeah.
So he has actually aged
20 years, I guess. Yeah. But I feel like they should probably make him look older because he did get Force lightninged. He should be like a little roughed up.
Yeah. If he's alive, which I mean, at this point, if he's been keeping it's maybe a stretch that Mace Windu survived it all and didn't show up anywhere.
Darth Maul was cut in half. Mace Windu had his arm cut off and then was Force lightning out a window. And I know he was falling forever, but we've also seen Anakin and Obi-Wan fall whatever and just like grab onto the million taxis that run around on Coruscant. Like, yeah,
that's true.
I think it's totally like that was an open enough thing there that they could bring Mace Windu back.
But now that I brought up the connections to the clones, I feel like they have to be teasing it because we keep getting flashbacks to him as a kid and we keep getting flashbacks to Kamino. Mm-hmm. And it's like every time I see Kamino, I'm thinking clones. I'm thinking the animated series, particularly Bad Batch, where we saw this place destroyed. Mm-hmm. Spoilers for the Bad Batch, but we saw Kamino get destroyed in the show.
Oh wait. Maybe put that one in the comments or something. Yeah, it's.
I mean, we know Kamino has to not exist.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, maybe we could see some clones here. I don't think it's going to be too likely because they even say confirmed. Like a teaser thing is that there's an old man in the background of whatchamacallit, the fight on one of the Death Star movies and stuff. There's an old man in the background that looks like it's supposed to be Rex, and they confirmed like retroactively like, yeah, that's supposed to be Rex, right? So we know that he was in one of those battles, but he is like old, like very old there. And if it's been even 10 more years and they do super age,
but I'm saying Omega is the same age. If they've introduced this character who is basically the parallel to Boba, like they were
that would be interesting to see that, like end of the series, she shows up and is like, brother, which I mean, they are essentially the closest things to actual brother and sister.
And she's had brothers before that look exactly like him.
Yeah, which they looked exactly like him back in the day. So she would be coming back and seeing someone that now also still looks exactly like him. That'd be interesting. I think that'd be cool because they have that set up. I think they have some cool potential here. Basically, you hear all my grievances. There's still cool things in the show. I think it can recover and still be cool by the end. Maybe some of the stuff I've said here is kind of fixed in the end. Like, we see more in the next episodes.
I like how we've gotten the most excited just like thinking about, oh, this would be cool if they did this, not thinking about what the show itself actually is.
Yeah. So, but I bear my grievances. I'm really hopeful that the show will end up a lot better than I'm feeling it is at the beginning. I also don't suspect that it will necessarily, though. So
yeah, I mean, I'm intrigued by the conflict with the Pikes. I'm happy to not. I hope the Hutts go away because I hate them. I hate the Hutts. Yeah, I mean, overall, I'm hopeful of what's to come in the series going forward. We have 4 episodes left, so we're not technically at the midpoint, but I think it's good that we are able to share our opinions at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't had a lot of good comments, but I mean, yeah, that's pretty much just kind of how. I mean, I think I said B- for the show, but like, really, to be brutally honest, it really almost feels more like a C+. And that might seem really harsh, but it's just.
I mean, even
here's the thing: I didn't have like a ton of expectations for the show. I wasn't like, oh my god, it's gonna be so cool. I'm not enamored with Boba Fett. One of my best friends, it was his favorite character and all that stuff. And reflecting, I can see why, not just the mystery of not knowing who he is, but if you look at the very old trilogy, right, all the characters that exist in it, he is like a lone cool figure, right, with the cool armor and like the flamethrower and all the all the stuff. He got a rocket out of his jetpack. He had a lot of cool things going for him. So he was a cool character, and now we've seen so much more Star Wars. There's so many more cool things to sort of pile on top.
And all the things that made him cool also have, like, there's been so much mystique robbed from them, like his identity. We know so much about his identity. Like, we don't know about him specifically, but because we know the clones and because we know Jango, we have experienced the basis of who his character is in a way.
Yeah.
Through his countless iterations. And because we've interacted with Mandalorians, we've seen this armor used in cool ways. It's not unique to him anymore.
Yeah.
His 2 identities are robbed from him.
Yeah, and I just think the direction that the show is kind of going in, they are further like removing the mystique and robbing us of the badass that I think many people envisioned Boba Fett as. And they're trying to make him more likable.
Yeah,
I think, but that's not. I don't think that's what like we want. Okay, that's not what like I want. I would like to see him continue being a badass. Like in the Mandalorian, we didn't see any like signs of this. What we're seeing here in the Book of Boba Fett. He just seemed like, got my armor back. Like apparently was looking for it. It was lost. He survived in the harsh sands of Tatooine for some time, gets his armor back, and then immediately is like, I'm going to go be the leader of Tatooine now. I'm a badass, right?
Yeah.
That all seems like, boom, that seems like some Boba Fett shit right there. What we're seeing in this Book of Boba Fett is not so much a bunch of badass shit. It's all kind of like, I don't want to be a bad guy. I want to be a good guy, kind of. But also, I just want to sit here on my throne and people pay me. Like, I don't know. It's all just whatever.
Well, maybe he just recognized that everyone hated Jabba and that the first chance that someone got to kill him, they did. And maybe he didn't want to deal with assassinations, but he's still dealing with assassinations.
Yeah, again, so it's like, cool. I get like, hey, he treated like the little gang with respect, kind of. And so they're aligning with him. He treated the Gamorreans with respect. So they're, serving him loyally and whatnot. I kind of get that. Oh, another point I'd like to make here is that best bounty hunter ever, right? Fennec Shand, also badass bounty hunter. They just totally get snuck upon by a bunch of assassins and are basically not holding their own. Like, now, understandably, like they're surrounded by 6 assassins with these force shields and they're all ready and blah, blah, blah. But like, they like potentially what it's being portrayed as is like they would have failed to beat those assassins if his Gamorreans weren't there to help. Which again, his Gamorreans were there, and it showed because he did that respectful thing. They were there to help him and save him, and so it's paying off that by making that good action and not like killing them, he saved himself.
I mean, I think some of their failures as crime bosses is due to the fact that that's not what they've trained their entire life at being. It's something they're learning something new, which is why I forgive them being bad at it, because they've never done it before. Being a bounty hunter is not the same thing as being a crime boss. So them being bad at it is understandable.
Them being bad at being a crime boss is understandable. Why are they bad at? If they just employ the same skills they did as bounty hunters, they'd probably be doing just a lot better.
Well, if they were bounty hunters, then they keep a low profile. They specifically can't keep a low profile.
I guess I don't know that it's always about keeping a low profile. I mean, I'm sure that's a part of it sometimes. But it's usually about like, being able to track down and take out and or capture your targets and stuff, right? So you have to have, combat skills that are exceptional. Fennec Shand was like an assassin. She's a sniper.
Yeah.
So, hers is, keep a low profile and kill people from afar. But like Boba's is not necessarily a long range assassin. He's like a get up in your face and flamethrower you and, or knee gun shoot you or whatever, stuff, whatever things he utilizes. Like that's what his style is, right? So he should just be like a very capable, like upfront, combatant and intimidating force. And I don't see him using intimidation, right? Again, it's like, oh, I don't want to rule through fear. But I'm like, you can employ intimidation and gain respect. Like by being like, don't fuck with me mode, people will respect you more. They will think they can't fuck with you. The fact is, like, if he, again, I see that elements in the show are he spared the gang. And so they helped him later against the bounty hunter. Like, because he spared the gang, like that led to him being saved by the bounty hunter. Because he spared the Gamorreans, that led to them not getting killed by the assassin. Those good, respectful actions, not, like just murdering the gang or killing the Gamorreans, led to him being benefited later. I see how those things paid off, and that is good. However, those moments also serve to make him as a singular figure look weaker. Like, so Boba cannot take on a bunch of assassins by himself. He cannot fight another bounty hunter by himself without the protection of those things. And I'm like, I kind of wanted to see him be able to take on maybe even in the fight against the big Wookiee, whose name I keep forgetting. I remember I heard it. It was like Garance or something like that.
I thought it had a K.
I thought it had a G. So whatever. But like maybe if he held his own a lot better, maybe if he showed like, oh yeah, my melee skills and stuff like were mostly exceptional, but I am at a disadvantage. And I was still able to stand toe to toe with the big Wookiee. And then they come and save him, that'd be one thing. But it didn't feel like he was standing toe to toe. It felt like he was getting his ass handed to him. And he was basically just going to get wrecked and die. And then the four gang guys like decided to show up. And yeah, so I don't know. Chrysanthemum. Okay, so I was close on the end part, just not on the front part.
Yeah.
Chrysanthemum.
Yeah, I knew there was a K and a lot of consonants.
Yeah. But yeah, I'd like to see something better.
You gave
I'm not very impressed with the show so far.
You gave your revised grade. Let me give mine. So I originally was saying A's and stuff. I still think the second episode's at least an A-. I mean, at the very least, it's the first time we get to see Tashi Station, where Luke wanted to go to get some power converters. But episodes 1 and 3, B-, maybe B. The first episode's definitely B-. The third episode, B- for both of them.
So what's your overall though?
At this point, I guess a B, so because more of the episodes are in the B range.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Again, I don't want to be. I couldn't like sit here and give each of them a letter grade.
I enjoyed them more as I watched them, except the first episode. The first episode I legit thought was boring. The second and third episodes, I got a little more into it.
See, it's funny because they're like the climbing out of the Starlight Pit moment was like really like, whoa, wow, cool.
That was about the least interesting part of the whole series to me.
I think for some people,
I expected it.
Right. Everybody expects it, but actually seeing it is like, wow, there it is, escaping the Sarlacc pit. Like the thing a mystery, right? A literal, like until the Mandalorian came along and confirmed that he was still alive. It was like did he ever get out of the Sarlacc pit? People literally just with no basis at all for years just theorized Boba Fett's not dead. He would have escaped the Sarlacc pit. No reason to ever believe that other than that he was the best bounty hunter ever and he should have escaped it. Really just because they wanted a character that they liked to come back. And then Disney was like, well, fuck it. We'll give him to him. Like,
yeah. And for me, it's just like, they're just doing the thing that people ask them to do.
Yeah.
Rather than this is in a way, it feels like he gets out of the Sarlacc pit because people wanted him to get out of the Sarlacc pit, rather than he was uniquely primed to be able to escape it.
Yeah. So, I mean, whatever. I think the show, like, I make all these negative criticisms right now, but there's a lot left of the show, and maybe it all redeems it in the end. Maybe it comes out a lot better. So, we have a lot to go. We'll see.
And if I'm being honest, like, I'm happy to be watching Star Wars content. Again,
I am too. I will say this, actually, maybe. I said I didn't have any expectations for the show. However, I that is not entirely accurate because I consider this a parallel or a, just something from The Mandalorian, which is like the best Star Wars anything ever made, in my opinion. Like, it's better than pretty much any. I mean, the original trilogies, okay, the original trilogies are dated as fuck. I understand that they were solid ass movies and they are the basis of all Star Wars, but they're all dated. They're not cool and new. Mandalorian is cool and new, but also has this. I think it's the best thing ever. So this being a tangent spinoff of Mandalorian, I maybe expected it to be somewhat as good as that. Maybe not quite as good, but like, you have material there that would lead. You have material here that could lead to you being really, really great, and this is not being really, really great. It's being like okay.
Yeah, and that's a valid criticism.
So yeah, that's all I gotta say. Hopefully, we see something better from the future episodes
of the series. Yeah, and I think that's it.
Yeah, I think that's all for me too. So until next time, this has been Robert
and Ryan.
Have a good one, folks.
Yep.